On today's video, I am going to be taking 4 items and I am going to be making them over into Yellowstone Western ranch style themed decor items. I cannot wait to show you some new techniques that you've never seen before on my channel. I have a very special announcement. I think you're going to love all of these projects. My name is Emily. I'm with J. Bowen & Company. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if you've been here before, welcome back. Let's get started. The first project I'm calling Trace Horses. This is a table that I purchased for myself over 10 years ago from Pottery Barn. The first thing I did is I gave it a good clean. That's a very important step whenever you're making over furniture. I then took out my Power Primer in the color of white and I gave it a coat of the primer. The reason you want to add primer is so that it prevents any bleed through, and in this case I'm going to be putting a Whimsykel paper on top of this so it will make the image appear more vibrant and brighter, and it'll just look nicer. Now, if you were going for a more darker or moodier image, you wouldn't have to add the white. But for the look that I'm going for, I want the whites to look white, and that's why I added the primer. Off camera, I will be adding a second coat of the primer. I let the primer completely dry, and then I took out my Whimsykel paper that I chose to use. This is called Graceful Steeds. It's a gorgeous paper featuring these 3 horses. These papers come folded up, so after you open up your paper, you need to give it a light spray with some water from your fine mister spray bottle. The reason you want to do that is because of the creases. The water will release the creases and wrinkles in your paper. So after you give it a light spray, just set it to the side. The next thing that you want to do is take out your decoupage medium and make a 3-inch starter strip. The reason you want to do that is so that you have better control of your paper. If you put decoupage on your whole piece and then try to deal with that large paper, you're bound to make a mess because it will start sticking at the bottom and not at the top, and then it just turns into a mess. Ask me how I know. Well, you can guess. I've done it before. So like I said, these are large sheets of paper. There is a learning curve, but once you get it, it's not too hard, and it's not too hard to learn. It's just a little bit of a learning curve. So you're just going to put your paper down on that starter strip and try to get all the wrinkles out while you're also trying to line up your paper where you want it. Then you're just going to rub it with your hands. I always do that. Make sure your hands are clean so you don't get oils all on the paper, and be gentle when you're rubbing the paper because you can tear it because it is damp from the spray plus wet from the gel. Then you're going to take out your brayer and just rub it down, and it will take out the wrinkles as well. And then you're going to keep going with the gel in another 3-inch step, then rub out the wrinkles, and so on until you get the whole thing finished. Now, I just want to thank you all. In the past, y'all have given me some great tips about decoupaging and how to do it the right way, and also some other ideas about how you can do the iron-on method. I have never done that. I still want to try that. I just haven't done it yet. So which method do you typically use? Do you use the method that I'm using with your hands and then the brayer, or do you use the iron-on method? Let me know which one works best for you. The next step is to take your decoupage medium, and then you're just going to put a coat on the top of your entire piece. Once you get it covered in full, you're then going to let it dry. I like to put short brush strokes to make it look like it was painted on. However, it doesn't really seem to make a difference anymore, but that's just what I normally do. This table is the longest of all of the projects, but it won't be much longer and I'll be through with this one and on to the next several projects. I can't wait for you to see the tray that I do. It's not the next project, but it's the next one. I think you will really enjoy that project, and I am going to be featuring some new foils. I can't wait to tell you about the foils. I've been wanting to showcase them on my channel for a long time, and I think you're going to love them just as much as I do. So a little fact about me that you may not know: I grew up in West Texas. I was born in Texas, raised in Texas, and I lived there until I was 31 when I moved out to Georgia. I've been out in Georgia about 17 years, but Texas will always be my home, even though I have, lived out here a while. But once you're from Texas, you're pretty much always from there, and it will probably always be your home, even though I do enjoy living in Georgia. So Western decor and Western clothing and things like that have always been a part of my life. My family members had horses, they had farms and ranches and things like that. So it's always been something that I liked. But now it's actually on trend to like Western wear and Western decor and stuff like that. So what do you think about this new Western trend? Are you on board or not? So even if this isn't your thing and you're not a Western type person, I carry over 100 different designs, from beach designs to abstract to all kinds of, there's all kinds of animals, there's a vintage style, there's just all kind of really, really cool papers that I carry. And if you're interested in any of those, you can check them out on my website, and I'll have them listed right there in my description. After you put on the top coat of the Decoupage Gel, you then need to let it dry completely. After it has dried completely, what you can do is then cut off the edges of the paper that's overhanging. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that off, and then I'm going to take out some sandpaper, and I'm going to sand around the edge in order to get all of the paper off of the table. Off camera, I ended up using a little bit of my ash paint and going around the edges just lightly where there was a little bit of white showing. After I finish sanding off all of the edges, I'm then going to put on a top coat of gel, Decoupage Gel, on top of this piece to protect it. Once you have that on there and it dries completely, you can then use another top coat, any top coat of your choice that's non-yellowing, and you can add that to protect your piece. I could have painted the sides and legs to this table, but I thought that the color was pretty good and it matched the project in the paper pretty good, so I just left it as is, natural. As you can see right there, whenever I was initially lining up the paper, I didn't realize that the ears of that last horse was a little bit off the edge, but really you can't go wrong. It doesn't mess it up. I don't think anyone would notice that at all. So what do you think about me leaving the legs natural like that? Would you have painted them, or would you have left them natural with just the stain that's already on there now? If you're enjoying this project so far, I would love if you would give me a like. Just hit that thumbs up, and that tells me that you're enjoying this video, and it really encourages me to keep going and making more videos. I must have forgotten to hit the record button when I was adding on the Decoupage Gel, the top coat, because all I had on my camera was me moving the table after the decoupage gel was already on the top. And I apologize about that. But here is the final reveal. I think this table turned out so cool. I really like it. I hope you like it. If you enjoyed this project, please give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, let me know if you like it, and consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. I'm going to have a lot of cool videos coming up in the future. You're not going to want to miss out on the upcoming videos. If you hit that notification bell, it will notify you of upcoming videos, and it's totally free. The next project, I'm calling this Cowboy hook. I purchased it at a thrift store for $1.50. It was originally $3, but it was on the half off day. So I picked it up and I thought that I could make it over. It wasn't bad as is, but I thought that I could make it look a little bit better. So I took out my bronze metallic paint from Fusion Mineral Paint and I decided to give it a quick coat of paint. This paint has very good coverage, so one coat of paint is enough. I thought that I would make it over and give it that brass look. I think that looks pretty good, but after I did this project, I don't know, maybe I should have just painted it black and been done with it, but I thought I would give it a makeover. After the paint had dried, I took out my black wax from Fusion Mineral Paint, and then I just painted a coat of the black wax all over it. Now, I thought that this would look a little bit better than it ended up turning out. Y'all let me know what you think about this final project. I've done this technique a lot of times. Usually, though, what I do is I paint it black, then I add the bronze on top of it, and then I wipe the bronze off, and it really gives it a really cool brass effect. But two things. One, this piece is flat. There's no grooves or crevices or anything, so that probably affected it. And then the second thing is it was wet and rainy outside, so I couldn't really go outside and do the normal route. And I thought, well, this might just be a little bit easier. So it doesn't have as much, I guess, definition or character as my pieces normally do when I do this kind of technique, but I still think it turned out okay. Y'all let me know if I should have just painted it black or you like it as is. Don't forget to hit the like button, and if you know someone that might enjoy this video, I'd appreciate it if you would share it with them. I'm calling this the Cowhide tray. I love this project and I can't wait to share it with you. I picked up this crazy tray from a thrift store for $5.99. It's originally from Pier 1, probably from the late 90s. I think maybe even 2000s. Looks like something or the early 2000s, something that would have been popular back then with these wild colors. Now, because of the different print that was on this tray, if you were just doing a regular tray and painting over it, you will be able to see the raised indentions from the paint. But because this is kind of a ranch themed tray, I don't mind the raised impression that you'll be able to see. So the first thing I did is give it a good clean. It's very important that you clean your pieces so that your paint will stick or adhere properly to your piece. So after I gave it a good clean, I then took off that tag. I like to put a little spray on there. It helps me get the tag off a little bit easier when it's wet. A little bit of that gunk still remained, and later on I'm going to take some of that off. I tried to take those little feet off the tray, but they just wouldn't budge, so I decided just to leave it on there. For some reason, there were 2 little holes in the tray, so I took out my spackling and then I just filled them in so that you wouldn't even know that those little holes were there. And I have no idea why those holes were there. Maybe someone had them on a wall. Maybe they had it hung on a wall or something. That's the only thing I can figure. I just now thought about that because I don't know why else you would have holes in a tray. It didn't really make any sense to me. So then I took out my Dewalt drill and I took off those handles, and then I gave it a quick little scuff sand just to make sure and help the paint to stick a little bit more or a little better. And then I went and gave it another clean, and then I just wiped off that spackle, sorry. And then I realized that I had once again forgot to hit the record button, and on the first layer of paint, I'm now on my second layer of paint, I forgot to record. I'm using chocolate from Fusion Mineral Paint. When making these videos, we have to hit the record button so many times, and every once in a while, you just don't hit it. So I guess that's just what happened. So I'm now on the second coat of paint. I always paint the bottom first, and then I flip it over. And the reason you want to paint the bottom first is because if you paint the top first and flip it over, you're likely to mess it up. I'm now working on the top. The bottom has completely dried, and I'm going to give 2 coats of this chocolate color. It's a rich, gorgeous, like a Hershey's chocolate bar color paint. I'm going to give 2 coats of that around the edge, and then I'm going to put 2 coats of the Power Primer in white on the bottom. I could have just gone on with the Fusion Mineral Paint in the color that I'm going to use, but it just covers it so much better, and it dries really fast to use the primer. So now I cannot wait to share with you something so special. So back in the summertime in July, I went to the Painters Business Academy. This was a conference for furniture painters. People were there from all around the world. There were a lot of companies there, including Fusion Mineral Paint, Annie Sloan from Annie Sloan Chalk Paint, the IOD Sisters, and many more different companies and representatives. And we were introduced to all kinds of really cool products. So one of the things that I learned about was this foil as well as some rollers, and it was really cool. And I purchased some of the rollers and I purchased some of the foil, but I had not used them yet. But I thought they were really cool, and I definitely wanted to add them to my supply. So I met the owner and her daughter of Artistic Painting Studio, and they sold these foils, and that's what I'm going to be using on this project. The exciting part is that I am now a brand ambassador for Artistic Painting Studio, so I will have a link to the site where you can go and purchase your supplies if you choose to, and I will earn a small commission off of it, and it will not affect the price of your supplies at all. So I'll also put that in the description box. So there are a lot of different kind of foils that you can use. There are different colors, different styles. I'm going to be using a Cowhide style today in this particular project. At the convention, I purchased some different golds and some bronze and stuff like that. It basically looks like gold leaf when you use it. That's what it reminds me of. But they also had some really cool animal prints, and as a matter of fact, I had forgotten to get the cowhide prints when I was there at the conference, but luckily they had a sale going on and over Black Friday, and I was able to purchase some more of these. And then I reached out to the company to become a brand ambassador, and I was approved. So I'm so excited to be showing you these foils. I plan on making about 1 video a month or more, probably more because I love them so much. And I will be showcasing these supplies so you can see how to use them and learn about them as well. So after the primer had dried, I then took out my casement paint. This is a color that is kind of an off-white or cream. It's not kind of, it's definitely a creamy color. It's a really nice, just warm, creamy off-white color. And I'm adding this down because this is where I'm going to put the cowhide print. Now currently there are 3 different cowhide foils that they have, a black one and then 2 brown ones. But if cowhide is not your thing, they have just about any kind of thing you can imagine. They have florals and abstracts and colors and metallics, but I'm more of a neutral type person, and I also love all kinds of animal prints and snake prints and all kinds of stuff like that. So they have all those, and if there's a sale going on, you'll be able to access the sale through my link as well on their site. So like I said, I just can't wait to share this with you, and I think that you're going to like these foils as well. If you've ever used the foils, let me know in the comments, and if you haven't, let me know that too, if you think you might want to use them. After the paint had dried, I then took out the foil adhesive and I put a thin layer of foil adhesive all over the area that I'm going to be adding the foil. Now, once you put this foil adhesive on your project piece where you're going to add the foil, you need to let it sit for about an hour so that it will be sticky and more tacky and it will be more adhesive. But let me tell you something, it is very, very sticky. It's stickier than just about any kind of glue you're going to fill. So here are the foils that I had previously purchased that I will be showcasing in my upcoming videos. You can see I have quite the assortment, a lot of animal prints. These are some of the animal prints and snake prints. And then the next one I'm going to show you is this. It looks like copper, like patina copper or patinaed copper. Isn't that cool? I thought that was really cool. And then that one is a dark, kind of a moody floral. You can't really see there, but it's a dark floral. And then these are just different shades of bronze and golds. I picked those up at the conference because I thought those would be really neat. They showed us how you can use a stencil and then use that on top of the stencil, and I thought that was cool. Okay, so this is how this comes in. It comes in a roll like this. Like I said, you have to be careful because that glue down there is really sticky. And guess what? Forgot to film it again. So there you go. It's magically on there. So basically you're just going to press it on there, and then you're going to press the foil with the side that's going to come off. It needs to be facing down on your project. And then you're going to take some kind of scrubby brush, a toothbrush or some kind of brush. I'm just using the harder scratchy part of a sponge, and then you're just going to rub all over your piece, and then it's going to transfer to your piece. Now, confession, I have only done this 2 times, one other time the other day and this time. So I am learning as I go, but I want to show you basically how you do this. I probably should have measured beforehand and gotten a closer cut of what size this is going to be, because at first it was all going well and I'm pulling it off. It's very easy to use it, but there's just a little learning curve. Just like anything else, there's a little bit of learning curve, but once you get it, you get it. But I probably should have cut off that excess, because down on the back end I mess up a little bit, but I'm going to show you how I fix it. So you just continue rubbing and pulling and rubbing and pulling, and everything was going pretty well until I got to the back and the excess part came out of the paper or off of that plastic, and then it folded over. I was trying to get it off, but you see right there where it folded over a little bit, I wasn't really having much success. It was starting to stick and I just couldn't get it off. I tried to scrape it off. I probably should have used an X-Acto knife before it came off, but you know, live and learn from my mistakes. So that's where we're going now. That's what we're doing now. I decided I couldn't find my X-Acto knife, so I'm just taking this pair of scissors and I'm just gently just kind of scratching off the area that was on the edge, and then I'm going to take some paint and I'm going to go back and I'm going to touch up around the edge where I scraped off the paper, and then I'm just going to touch up the area that folded over with paint, and you'll never be able to notice. So sometimes we make mistakes or we have to learn, but just live and learn, and it's just art, so you're not gonna mess it up too bad. You can always paint over it or whatever, but I was able to salvage it and fix it. And I like to show you my mistakes so you can see what's really real and what actually happens, and then just learn from my mistakes. So then I just took out my paintbrush, a little bitty tiny paintbrush, and then I just touched up right around the edges where I had messed up a little bit, or where a little bit of white was showing, and then I touched up the area that had folded over, and you can never tell. You then need to put a final coat on top just to protect it. So what do you think about this tray? If you like it, let me know. Give me a thumbs up. If you have watched this far in the video, why don't you give me a little star emoji so I know that you have watched this far. The next project is this oval spindle table. I purchased this table for $20 at a thrift store. I tried to sell it at my booth as is. However, no one purchased it, so I decided to bring it home and give it a fresh coat of paint. I talked with the booth owner, or the store owner, and she said that she thought black would be a nice color, and I had wanted to try this color ash, and I ended up really liking this color. It's a dark, classy color. It's very close to black, but I would describe it more as a gun metal or gun barrel metal color. It's a dark gray black color. My kids, I asked them what color this table was, and they said it was black. So it's a very dark color. It's another alternative for our coal black or cast iron. It looks a little bit more like cast iron, I would say, than the coal black. But it's a beautiful, rich color. So I wanted to go back to those foils and let you know that you can purchase them in different lengths. You can purchase them, I believe, in 1 foot. I'm not quite sure about 1 foot. I think if you buy multiple ones, you can buy them in 1 foot. But I usually buy them in the 3 feet or the 3 foot size or the 15 foot size, because you can put them on furniture, on all kinds of decor projects, tabletops, desks, whatever, and they look really, really cool. I didn't put the top coat on camera, but you need to put a top coat. There's something called the final cut, or I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's on their website, and you can purchase that. That works as well. I actually put that on top of that Whimsykel paper, the Trace Horses table. But anyway, I think you should go check it out. They also have these really cool rollers that make a impression in this. You put on this medium, and then it makes this cool texture. It's really cool, and I'm going to be showcasing that product as well. After the bottom section had dried completely, I then flipped it over and I started painting the top. Typically I would use a roller, but these brushes work so well that I decided just to give it one coat with the brush, but the next coat I am going to use a roller on. So if you haven't checked out my last series, I did some cozy winter decor projects. I'll put that latest video right there in the comments so you can go check that out. But y'all stay tuned because I am going to be doing a whole series on these Yellowstone Western themed projects. I already have some started. I can't wait to show y'all the rest of those, but unfortunately I was unable to finish this table in time to get this out on New Year's Day. So y'all have a happy New Year's, happy 2025. Thank y'all so much for being here, and thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you back here again.